Welcome to the common issues one. Okay, so here we'll be talking a bit about common errors that tend to happen, right? In the previous one, we talked about how to get help. Here it's more about if you get an error, what can you do before reaching out to us, right? And this is just some issues from years of experience that we've compilated here in these slides, okay? So I'll be floating a bit between tabs just to show you some ideas of how to deal with errors. So bear with me while I jump around, okay? I'll try to go slower this time so I can actually get you through all the slides. I'll get you through all the little tabs, okay? So first of all, how to find them. There's two things. When we submit open on demand jobs, right, we get either failed to submit session if the errors are in the beginning parameters. Like you can see here in this picture, we have an SBatch error because I requested at 180 hours, right? So this means that I exceeded the parameters of that particular queue for time limits, right? So requested time limit is invalid, it's missing, or it exceeds some limit. In my case, it exceeded it, okay? So please check what is your max runtime that is allowed for your partition. Remember, most of the time you'll be using general access partition. If it is a different one, check what parameters, including backfill or backfill 1 or backfill 2. Okay, important. That's for memory. Now, the other way is to check the logs. In the previous video, in the video about getting help, we talked a bit about this, about how to find your error logs, and we talked about it in the OOD big overview. But I'll walk you through this in just a minute after this last one. And if you're submitting Slurm jobs on the terminal, remember that your output is saved as Slurm, the job ID number, all the numbers, and then .out. If you get any errors, you'll see them in the .out file. So pay attention as to where that is saved and how to find them. Okay, if you're experienced with Linux, this is just like try to find a file in a normal Linux file system. It will take you a while, but you'll get to it, okay? And if you get that to us, then that's even better for trying to find your own errors and trying to see where they are. So let's go to logs OOD so you can see how to find them in a minute. So I'll go out and go here to the files. So let me go back to the dashboard, okay? So once you're here on the dashboard, go to interactive sessions, and then you will find all the list of the last ones you've run. In my case, I ran a MATLAB one yesterday, so I'm going to click on this session ID, and that will bring me to the logs, right? So we see here all the logs, including an output log, right? And I can read how did this go, what actually ran, and then when did I, in this case, when did I cancel my job due to the time limit? So this one ran out. So this went great. In the case that it doesn't run out, it'll tell you why did it close up. So that here you'll find your errors and you'll be able to see what ran. The other important part is that will tell you which modules you're using. So if you say, oh, my code didn't run maybe because of versioning, here's where you check that. What version am I using for MATLAB? What version am I using for R? Okay. So here's how to find error logs and how to read them. Okay. Now, if you don't recognize Turbo VNC, this just means it's loading up the desktop. And then the rest of them is pretty standard, so you can read it through. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. Now, let's go back to those slides to go to the next one. So that is how to find your errors, and that's how to get to outputs either through a terminal, finding the .out file, or through the OOD, finding, again, the .out file. Everything's there. Now, let's go into more specific ones. The first one is that you cannot find the program or load it. Okay, we use module load. So for example, if I want to module load MATLAB, I write module load MATLAB on the terminal, right? That's when you write your SBatch, your Slurm files, right? That you want to submit to. We write all the SBatch commands. Just be familiar if you've seen the videos on this. And then you're gonna module load something specific. In the case of this example right here, I'm module loading GNU and OpenMPI. And I can module load R or Python or whatever you want, right? I'll take you through that in a minute how that looks. There are two commands that will be important to find modules that we have there. Module avail, ML avail, or module spider, and the name that you're looking for, okay? And let's do those before going to the next. So this is how to find your own program. So I'm gonna open my mobile extern up. I'm gonna run my SSH. Remember to always start there, right? And use your own username. Once you're here, I'm going to go module. So ML is short for module load, okay? And then I'm going to call avail. and this gives me a list of all modules that I can call are currently available. Okay, some to note. All the R files are organized by version. Anaconda, again, the same. GNU. And then a very important one is web proxy. Why? If you're ever interacting, let's say you wrote a web scraper that you need to get out into the internet and get to that page, the web proxy needs to be loaded. If you're like, why is it not connecting to the internet? Because you didn't load module load web proxy. Okay, very important one. Okay. So what if I want a specific one, or this is just too much for me and I'm just looking for all the R files to get a specific version? I can go module load spider and then just call R. There I get the R versions. And this is searching. So if I go module load spider and I want to check meta shape instead, I'm just gonna call meta. That will give me the two meta shapes, Metashape standard and Metashape Pro, with the description of each of these. In this case, it's gonna say how it's loaded. Some of these has more extensive descriptions. If not, this is what you're gonna get. Okay, so we're clear to there. Let me clear it so we can go again. You have module load avail, gives you all of them. Module load spider with the search term that you're looking for. In this case, let's go Anna. What should it come up? Anaconda, right? I get all the Anaconda versions, right? And I can load specific versions by going Anaconda / version, same as R, okay? So if you cannot find your module, check here first. Check if it's installed and where you can get it from before you reach out to us and be like, hey, where can I find these modules? Try to search using Avail and using Spider. Okay, now let's go back. Next set of errors. Okay, it's put it right there. You have out of memory errors. If you're doing a script and you write sbash -- mem equals a memory, so it can be 32 gigs, 64 gigs, 128 gigs, whatever you need, gigabytes. My bad. And this is the same as when in the OOD field we have fill out with the amount of memory that you want, and that is the error that we saw earlier. That's similar to the field we saw earlier for hours. You have one below that says for memory. It's the equivalent on both. Okay, make sure that you are allocating memory. Okay, so you're able to actually run your programs. And then the last one is the invalid parameter, right? Remember that each queue has constraints. The same way the previous example in OOD said that the time was too much, it could say the same thing for SBatch. It's gonna not be able to run. It's gonna give you an invalid parameter statement because either you put too much time, or you put too many cores, or you put an invalid name, or you didn't allocate memory. Okay, so these are all invalid parameters, and it's common to have this issue. So just try to check what you could be missing or what you could be super allocating. Okay, so these are the main three errors and some solutions to get started with. If none of these work, we're always here. But part of the joy of coding and the joy of doing computational work is to crack your head a little bit. So I hope this was useful, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you.